into the fourth dimension.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Triumph over Lockdown, total mind fitness workout with mindfulness, self-compassion, a little bit of discussion. And today I want to talk about body awareness. A lot of us are very used to hearing that we can't really control our thoughts. And, sometimes we get these intrusive thoughts, we get these images coming up. Sometimes we get these memories of things just even by smelling things. Some memories can pop right in. Now, of course, some of these things can be really interesting and joyful, but a lot of the times they can be disturbing and horrible and causes us to be on a bit of an emotional roller coaster as well, because, when we start remembering sad things, we become sad. If we remember frustrating things, we become frustrated. Remember angry memories, we can become angry again. And then we start to feel sensations in our body. And when we feel sensations in our body, they can become very uncomfortable. In fact, we feel our emotions in our body, right? So this is something that a lot of us sometimes haven't been taught. We don't realize that when we are feeling an emotion, it actually expresses itself in a body sensation. And it's these body sensations that can be so uncomfortable that we want to kind of really just run away from that. We just don't want to experience that at all. And it's when we start to run away from that, when we start to fight these body sensations, or we run away from these body sensations, we can start to disconnect from our bodies. And when we disconnect from our bodies, basically, we're disconnecting from our emotions. And so the ability to regulate our own emotions and self-soothe can be extremely difficult now, because we're not really in connection with them. We're not in connection with our bodies. We lose awareness of our bodies. We start to live inside our heads. And so that's what I want to dedicate this session to, is kind of a reconnection with ourselves, but from the point of view of reconnecting with our body. And we're going to start off in the first section, as usual, with our breathing, and we're going to do a little bit of a mindful contemplation, a little meditation on that idea of connecting to our bodies. And in the second half, it will be open for more discussion and more talk. You can put comments in the comment section, and I'll try and answer it to you as best I can. Now, a lot of people are asking me, why am I doing this? And the idea is that I want to contribute from my own experience, from my mentors, from the teachings that I've had over the years, and especially at this time when we're in very distressing times. It can be in lockdown, and we might be on our own, we might be with family, we might be with children, we might be worried about members of our family that are with us, we might be worried about members of our family that are not with us. And that puts us on a bit of an emotional roller coaster, right? And when we're on that roller coaster, if we don't have that awareness of our own bodies, then we really don't, it's like being on let's say you're on a roller coaster and you can't feel your hands holding on to the rails, when you've got that terrifying experience. And I'm not a roller coaster person, that's just, wow, It's just when I watch it, my whole body shivers. But I've been in certain situations where I really get terrified sometimes when I was on a ski lift, an open ski lift going up a mountain, and the whole. I think that's worse than a roller coaster, and you're holding on, but it's the feeling of holding on that helps to soothe you, right? Because you feel, okay, at least I got some sort of handle on this, to use a pun. But let's say you couldn't feel the fact that you're holding on. You couldn't connect to that sense of safety. Wow. Now you're really going to be in a horrible, panicky situation of, what do I do now? And we, generally speaking, when that happens, we go and do behaviors that are not very healthy for us. And when we do behaviors that are not very healthy for us, we get ourselves into all sorts of troubles, don't we? All right. So the idea of this is that we go into our practical, experiential session, and then move into more of a discussion. So here we go. All right, so what we want to do is we're going to start off with the breathing. And if you don't remember how to do the breathing, you can go back and look in the first video that we did, which I went into a kind of more of a teaching on that. So getting straight into the breathing. Remember, we're going to breathe through our nose and out through our mouth. And I'm going to use these hand signals that will help us for the timing. So breathing in for 3, holding in our lungs for 2, and out for 5 through our mouth. Just letting go as you do that. Breathing in through our nose. Holding it. And breathing out. Halfway there now, just let that oxygen marinate around your mind and body and brain. Breathing in. Deep breath, fill your lungs, use your tummy. Hold and out. One more time. Breathing in. Hold it in your lungs. And breathing out. And just let that marinate around you. We just want to feel that going around our bodies, going around our brains. It's nourishing it. And we know from science that that will put us into a safety zone. And that's really important. So my little experiential exercise today, I'm picking them from my friends and psychologists around the world who have got really great exercises. And this one is from Dr. Patricia Zurita Ono, otherwise known as Dr. Z, good friend of mine. And this is from her book on emotional regulation. And it's really a powerful contemplation, meditation, exercise, whatever you want to call it. They're only words, but I just like to have that experience of it. And I think it's really important, because the more that we can sit with our own bodies, which is not easy, right? A lot of us have issues with our bodies in general. I know I used to have, and we don't feel comfortable in our own skin. And then we have all these thoughts and things coming through, with judgments and all sorts of things. So if you want to join me, I invite you to put your feet firmly on the ground. Really kind of push them in if you can. If you can be in bare feet, even better. Just push them into the ground. And you can close your eyes if you wish, or you can just kind of gaze gently on the ground at any point. And just enjoy this. Sometimes it might not be too comfortable. I don't promote, good feelings, but I promote feeling better, being able to use that skill of feeling in a much better way rather than just feeling better. All right. So just take a few moments and get yourself comfortable in the chair. Either close your eyes or gaze at a point on the floor and just relax your eyes. I want you to take a few moments, and as usual, just get in touch with your breathing. Breathing in, breathing out. No special breathing, just get into your own rhythm. Try and sit as comfortably as you possibly can. I know sometimes for some people that's a little bit difficult, so just sort yourself out in the best way you possibly can, and keep it loose. Don't be too rigid. I want you to bring your awareness now. We have this ability to shift our attention, and I'd like you to bring it to your posture. Just how are you sitting? Where are your hands? How are you holding your head? Where's your neck? Are you slouched? Are you stiff? Just bring your awareness to your posture now. And if you notice any tension points, just consciously relax that body area as best you can. Just kind of let go. I'm somebody that really didn't know how to relax. I didn't know how to let go until somebody taught me. Just make that decision to let go as best as you can. There are no mistakes in this exercise. There is no right and no wrong. And without using any force, just gently go back to paying attention to your breathing. Every time you inhale, pay attention to how the change of temperature from the air as it enters your nose. And exhale. Now there's no need in any way to control your breathing. Just simply let the breath breathe itself. As you're settling in, sooner or later your mind is going to wander. It's going to wander to all sorts of concerns of the day. What should I be doing? What could I have done? What happened before the session? And all sorts of thoughts coming in, planning about what you need to do. Should I really be doing this? All sorts of judgments coming in. Now just see if you can gently accompany your attention back to your own breathing. Just pay attention. Notice it. Breathing in. Breathing out. Just paying attention to that. What it does in your body. You might notice your abdomen move as you breathe in, or your chest, your shoulders. And then breathing out again. Now I'm going to invite you to bring into your mind a moment when your mind came up with thoughts about, I'm right, you're wrong. You know, we've all been in these situations. I know better. As we pat ourselves in the back. What do you know? See if you can recall a situation where somebody wronged you or did something upsetting to you. And naturally, your mind came up with the thoughts along the lines of, I'm right, you're wrong. You know, don't worry about choosing the perfect situation. Just choose one you're open to paying attention to for a couple of moments. Hold this image in your mind for about a few moments and try and notice it as vividly as possible. Notice what the person's looking at, what the person's saying to you, what's the tone of their voice. Now just notice what's showing up in your body right now. You might start to actually feel a physical sensation. It might be quite unpleasant or uncomfortable. Let's examine this. Let's be curious about these physical sensations. Is it still or is it moving? How would you describe it feels? Use all the words you can to try and describe this feeling. Is there any kind of name that you would give to this emotion? Yeah, this is an emotion that you're feeling. It's being expressed as a physical sensation. And we can give all sorts of names to it. Now I want you to see, even for a few moments, if you can intentionally watch this emotion for what it is, not what it's trying to tell you it is, but what it really is. So noticing its intensity, just notice how strong it is, or weak. Notice the pace. Notice the movement. And notice the go-to actions it comes with. You know, what's it urging you to do right now? You know, our emotional machinery gets active all the time. And with this exercise, we're just noticing for a moment that activity. Are you able to pay attention one more time how this emotion feels in your body? The sensations that come with it, and the action urge that comes with it. Just notice it right now. Let go. Breathe. As if you were just observing. Now just notice how it is to have this emotion without doing anything besides looking at it. Even though the urges to do something may be strong, just sit, observe, and be willing to let it happen through us. When you're ready, welcome back to the room. Wow. Don't know about you, but that was really powerful for me. So let's discuss that in part 2. In the meantime, I'm going to prepare myself some ketones for drinking, and then we'll come back and put your questions and your comments in the comments area, and we'll come back and have a little chat.
I started drinking May 2019, I think, yes. And really, ketones came to me. I phoned a friend for her birthday in Australia, and we were chatting, and she said, "What are you doing now?" And I said, "Look, we were both in recruitment, corporate recruitment." I said, "I completely changed. I studied to be a health coach, and this is what I'm doing, and I'm absolutely about health, and I teach people how to really take their health into their own as well." The very first sachet I drank, it was like something connected in my brain. Because I'm also 54 years old. I used to run ultra marathons. I've always been very fitness orientated, health orientated, but I lived on coffee as well, and we drank a hell of a lot of red wine at a point. And I ate cheese, I ate meat. After the ketones, it was so easy to just drop it. I haven't had a drop of alcohol in nearly 2 years. I don't eat meat anymore. I'm vegan and whole food vegan. I weigh the least that I've weighed in my adult life. And I didn't try to lose this weight. I said to my husband, "Aren't I getting too thin?" He said, "You're thin, but you're not too thin. You're in the right sized body." And I feel fantastic. I sleep well. I drink it every single day. I really think it does something in our brains. It works on the areas of the brain where our cravings sit. Because I don't have cravings anymore. That I can say, first time in my life, I don't have cellulite. And what is cellulite? Cellulite is actually inflammation of the fat cell.
So welcome back, everybody, to part 2. I've got my ketones ready, and I drink them twice a day. Really keeps me going. So we've got a comment here from Julia. "That was great to have arrived late but benefited." Wonderful. Great that you benefited. That's really good. Cindy's giving us a bit of a wave, so that's great. Great to see you on here, Cindy. Now, one thing that is really important that comes out of this today is, like we don't have any control over our thoughts, we don't have control over our emotions. Our emotions come to basically serve us. They're a messenger system, and they're there to tell us what's going on, right? And so they're not going to ask us. They're not, asking, "Dov, you want to have this emotion or not?" It's automatic. They're going to come in and they're going to tell me what's what. It's my interpretation of them sometimes that can get a little bit wrong. I start to think maybe they're telling me to do this or that. And if I learn just to accept them for what they are at this moment, with their uncomfortable kind of feelings that go along with them, they're called emotion for a reason. It's because they are wanting us to move. They're wanting us to do something. That's what their purpose is. So if they bring in an emotion of fear, it's because that they suspect that we're in some sort of danger. Now, they're not going to wait till we are in danger, so they're going to kind of preempt it. Sometimes we might be in danger, and sometimes we might not have been in danger. But that preemption is going to keep us alive. But it's going to be a bit uncomfortable for that moment or two, or maybe longer. So if we learn to understand, first of all, see what's going on, what's that message coming in about, we have the ability to override and see, okay, I am in danger, I'm not in danger, but the emotion is there. And so we need to let it ride its time out and surf that wave until we get back on shore again. When we understand that our emotions are there to help us, even though they don't feel good, it's the same emotional system that when we get excited or we get really motivated. I'm somebody who really doesn't like the feeling of adrenaline. I just don't like it. I mean, that's probably why I don't like the roller coasters. But I also feel it when I get really excited. When we get excited and something new's happening, we're really moving around. Now, I'm not saying, so let's not get it, mixed up here. I'm not saying that I don't like the benefits that adrenaline gives me. I certainly do. I'm, very active and I love, high adrenaline situations, but I don't enjoy the feeling in my body, right? I really don't. Once I learned to get in contact with my body, once I learned to connect to my body, you start to feel it. You do. There's a reason why people don't want to feel those feelings in their body, because sometimes it can be really uncomfortable. But once you connect and you realize that you can surf out these uncomfortable feelings, you can really, really benefit for what the emotion is trying to, tell you, trying to help you do. So it can give you really a big push of motivation. It can get through very difficult times. When we need that extra kind of energy going. And so it will kind of help with the whole adrenaline, the whole stress system, get it moving in your favor. But if we've disconnected from that, we've numbed ourselves from that whole system, we're losing out on a whole bunch of benefits for the price of not feeling it. And anybody that's numbed themselves out before, numbing can be from alcohol, it can be from drugs, but it can also be from, numbing ourselves through food. It can be numbing ourselves through sports. If we do constant running every day, all the time, really punishing ourselves in order not to feel our feelings, then that can have the same effect. Or any other thing. I used to be a workaholic. I used to really, dedicate myself 20 hours a day. Had no problem with that. Loved every minute of that. But I was kind of blocking off a lot of feelings of other important things in my life. So it's really important to understand, first of all, what's important in your life, right? And in order to connect to it in a really deep and powerful and useful way, we can use our emotions to help us do that. The emotion of frustration, well, that can push us in a direction that will help us get out of the frustration. An emotion of anger comes up because we have a value of something that's really annoying us, right? It's really there, and we start to get anger, maybe a sense of injustice. Because justice is really important to us. When there's an injustice happening, we feel this anger arising in our bodies. So it's about how we respond to these emotions more than what the emotions are. These emotions are there in our favor. How we respond to them is our choice. It's an absolute choice. If we practice choosing our response, we'll get better and better at it. But once we learn how to numb ourselves, then we can become expert numbers too. And when we become expert at numbing our body, we practice separating ourselves from our body. And when that happens, we've lost that ability to feel safe. So, and that can cause all sorts of stresses and distresses. So the whole idea of today was to kind of introduce you to getting in touch more with your body, even if it's just sitting there for a few moments and just experiencing it. Believe me, these are short exercises. I'm not asking you to go and sit on top of a mountain for 30 years, believe me. Even those who do that still have issues with their bodies and their minds and their emotions. Don't be fooled. All I'm asking you is to practice a few simple things. Breathing in a particular way that can open up our bodies into a safety system. To sit a few moments in the day and just experience, be willing to experience what happens in our bodies without judging it, without just noticing all these thoughts that come in to try and help us judge it, to try and tell us what we should be doing and shouldn't be doing. But just being able to sit there for a few moments, even if you replay this again and again and just, do it on a daily basis, within a few hours, your mind, your brain will begin to structurally change. Within a few weeks of practicing it, it will structurally change. There'll be new connections and neurons. There'll be new pathways being formed and new habits, healthy ones, useful ones. So Julia's coming in and saying, I learned to numb out in childhood from emotional neglect, etc. Yeah, absolutely. Mindfulness has helped heal this, absolutely. So being mindful is, people, you think, oh, I have to go and do a course for mindfulness and I have to do, no. Being mindful, we can use what we have right now. When I take a drink of this, I can be mindful of the liquid going into my mouth, of the cool drink going down my throat. That mindful action when I eat, the mindful action when I'm looking at somebody and paying attention to their face, paying attention to the words that they're saying, that's being mindful. And when we tune into that mindful action, we're not in our heads, in that time machine in the past, or going off into the anxious future. We can be in the present with flexible attention, knowing our mind will move back and forward. That's okay. And bringing it back to our breathing. So hopefully this has been helpful to you today. We'll be back again tomorrow with more. In the meantime, that's the end of part 2. Thank you very much.
Into the fourth dimension.